Hi everybody, this is Ozzy and Stephanie back again. We're gonna come to you here with a small series here for home buyers. We're gonna start off simply by going through some of the steps that you need to do first as a home buyer coming into the market. We're gonna look at a couple of things here. Specifically, the first thing that we're gonna talk about is a lender. I think that's really the first step that you have to really do as a home buyer is find out specifically what you can afford in a house, and not really sure.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend that you find a local lender in your area, and you can ask different people for recommendations, or just look for different mortgage or home loan companies that are specialized in your location, that actually have somebody that you can go meet with if needed, versus going to like a larger kind of online company or something like that. With the local lenders, you're going to get a lot better of service. They're really going to be advocating for you. And what you want to ask them, first, what they're going to do is they're going to run what's called a pre-qualification. And what that does is it shows you, based on your debt to income ratio, your credit scores, and that kind of thing, it's going to show you what they can actually qualify you for. And that's normally going to run pretty similar between different lenders. And then a good lender, one thing that you're really going to want to look for is make sure that they can actually give you a broken down cost estimate. And what that's going to be, it's going to be a sheet, and it can be a little daunting at first, but just know that it's really helpful to have this cost estimate, because it's going to lay out all the different fees. There are closing costs that are charged. There's some prepayments that you're going to need to charge, which we can get into later if you guys are interested in what all that means. But it's really helpful to have that, because then you know really what the big two things you want to know are what your monthly payment's going to be and what the cash to close is going to be. There's a big myth that you need 20% down. There's a lot of people think, oh, I can't buy a house until I have a 20% down payment for what I want. But that's not always true. There's a lot of different types of mortgages out there where sometimes you don't even need any down payment. However, in every situation, you're going to need some closing costs. And so that's something that I don't think a lot of people know. It's really important to make sure that you have funds available for closing costs, and you really don't know what that's going to be until you speak with a lender. So that's as far as, talking to a lender. That's the very first step. And you can do that 3 months, 6 months, a year before you're ready to buy, because it'll help you know what to budget, which is going to go to our second point.
Yeah.
Which is going to be working on your budget and getting ready financially to purchase a home.
Yeah, it's going to be really important for you to understand specifically where you're currently at with your monthly payments, whether you're renting right now or you're looking at your mortgage statements, and you're trying to figure out specifically what you can afford if you're trying to upgrade into your next home or get into your first purchase. So if you're currently renting at $900 a month, you can feel like you can afford that, or you can feel like you can afford a little bit more. I think it's going to be really important to take that into consideration. And obviously for all home buyers, a big thing is going to be a credit check. So I think it's going to be very important for you guys to go out and do like a Credit Karma or something. Just familiarize yourself with your own personal credit and see if you have anything in collections. Obviously that's going to be something you want to try to resolve right away. Or if you have a lot of credit card debt, also try to figure out like where are your big downfalls, so that way you can prepare yourself to talk to a lender who's going to point those things out to you. But I think it's going to be very important for you to kind of guide yourself towards those things, in order for when a lender does come into the conversation, he can help guide you to what to pay off and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's huge. And even talking to a local lender about your finances, they can even take a look at your credit report and tell you which things if you adjust, this or that, or you pay off this to a certain amount, they'll be able to tell you, okay, well, this is actually going to really help you when you go to buy, or, oh, you know what, those little things, they don't really affect as much. So this is where you want to put your money towards. And that's really helpful. A great lender will be able to do that for you. And then also, to Ozzy's point about your monthly budget, I think it's really important too that once you figure out your monthly budget, even if say you're pre-qualified for a $1,500 a month mortgage payment, but your budget says, $900 is more comfortable for me, then tell the lender that. You don't have to buy a house that's to the maximum of your pre-qualification. And in most cases, it's better not to, because you don't want to end up finding yourself strapped that you can't do anything really more beyond just living in your home. So, if you have a budget that you find that you want to stick to, tell the lender that. and then he or she can then tell you what the house price is going to be based on that budget, and then you can kind of boil it down to how much you have to have saved. So that's a good place to start, is the monthly budget.
Yeah, and I would say, like, definitely don't be afraid of talking to folks. I think a lot of people make the mistake that they'll go on Realtor.com or Zillow and they'll look at the calculators and stuff like that, and they'll assume that they can afford a certain amount, and it's not true. I mean, it's one of those things where there's a lot of variables that do have to be taken into consideration for you to find out exactly what you can afford. And I think by going out and talking to a lender or a real estate agent, I think you're going to realize, like, okay, there's a lot of things that I need to work on, or a lot of things I need to take into additional consideration. And I think that's going to really help you find out exactly what you can afford. And again, you don't have to commit to any of these people. So I think it's really important that you at least step out of your comfort zone, go out there and do what, the initial steps may be. Find out, gain some knowledge, and then when you feel comfortable and actually proceeding to purchase a house, find those that work with you best and proceed working with those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really important. And then while you're working on your finances, I know that once, you start looking online, the house, bug can start to hit, and you really want to start to buy a house. Instead of jumping the gun, take your time, make sure that you're ready. And during that time, there's things that you can do that are fun, that can help kind of point you in the right direction towards buying a house. And one of those things is starting to narrow down location. And that's our next point, is narrow down the locations that you want to look in, so that way when you do actively start looking, that you're considering neighborhoods and areas that you are definitely interested in. And some ways you can do that are, you can, map out the commute, see how far of a commute you're open to, or if you really need to stay close to your job or the places that you go regularly. And that is important, and try to figure out that. And then visit different towns. If you're considering, maybe I would consider a 30 or 45 minute commute for the right area, then start visiting those towns, get comfortable with it, get to really see what they offer events wise and activities wise.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were first looking for our house, we would constantly go on small trips, different neighborhoods, go on walks during the summer.
Yes, that is huge.
Really go out there and experience the areas that you want to be a part of. On our commute home, we would take off some of the highway exits and see, okay, is this a pretty area? Is this a great place to be? Are there kids? It's a lot of things that you do have to take in mind. So I would say, go out there, definitely spend some time with family. It's a great way to bond with your family. It's a great way to get a good feel for what you like and what you don't like, the houses in the area and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really important. And then the last thing that you're going to do is find an agent. And we're going to do a couple other videos on why having a buyer's agent is important throughout the buying process, and also how to find an agent. But I'm just going to kind of conclude with that. The last thing you really want to do is be looking and interviewing for a real estate agent. And it's important to find someone who's really advocating for you and who's going to be a good fit for you. So we'll talk about that further. If you guys have any questions about any of these steps, or if you want us to delve in further onto any of these topics, please let us know, comment below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Like I said, we're going to be continuing this series on how to, about buying a home. And also then, of course, we'll have a series on selling. So please continue to stay in touch, and we'll see you soon.